Uncle Tony here. So I wanted to chat about the Fed pivot. In July, the stock market ramped up like crazy because everybody was thinking the Fed was going to pivot and start cutting interest rate, and the stock market just flew. Now that the stock market's going down, bonds are crashing, everybody's wanting a Fed pivot. But be careful what you ask for because you might not like it. So I'm going to reveal the three main reasons why the Fed might pivot. And the last reason, it's a scary reason. So let's get to it. The Fed will only pivot if one of those three things happen. Number one, if we have a credit event. What is a credit event? You guys remember Silicon Valley Bank? Remember all the banks that went bankrupt a few months ago? So that's a credit event. What if we have a big bankruptcy, a big commercial real estate deal gone bad, a big bank going down because their loans are not performing? That's a credit event. If that happens, I think the Fed might pivot, and then we would get a rally. The second reason why the Fed might pivot would be bad economic news. Believe it or not, everybody's cheering for bad economic news. So what's bad economic news? It's bad GDP growth, a very bad jobs number. Today we had a good jobs number. That's why the stock market didn't like it and started going down. And also a very benign inflation report. So the Fed might pivot if inflation goes down hard, if jobs are terrible, or if GDP is terrible, which two out of the three are bad. And the worst reason why the Fed will pivot is if we have a big, huge, ugly, scary stock market move. And what is a big, scary stock market move? It could be 4, 5, 6% in one day, or it could be 10% in 3, 4, 5 days, and the stock market would just whoosh down, and the Fed is forced to pivot. If that happens, nobody's going to be happy. So what happens when the Fed pivots? If you ask me, if the Fed pivots for a macroeconomic reason, and we're going into a recession because GDP, our growth is crashing, I think the stock market will rally hard, and it's going to be one of the best selling opportunities ever to short the market. Because when people realize that we're in a recession, the stock market will crash again. If there's a credit event and they calm people's fears, we might get a nice rally that can sustain itself. And if we crash because of a huge down move, that will also probably keep the Fed in check, because they don't want people to lose their money or lose value. Remember, the economy is all based on consumer confidence. So if your stocks are going down, you feel less rich. If you feel less rich, you spend less money. And the Fed is always trying to make you feel richer than you really are.